The stars looked calm that night, but deep beyond them, war was coming. The alien commanders of the Zathari Empire had waited centuries for this moment. Their ships, huge black triangles that covered whole skies, moved slowly toward the blue planet they called Unit 3. They thought it would be an easy victory. The planet was small. Its people were divided, fragile, emotional. The Zathari expected no fight. To them, this invasion was just another routine conquest. But what they didn't know was that the people of this small world were unlike any species they had ever met. Humans were born on a Deathworld, a place where even nature wanted to kill them. Inside the flagship Obsidian Claw, Commander Rathesen stood tall, his silver skin shining under the dim red lights. His eyes glowed with the confidence of a predator. He had conquered a dozen planets before. Every world had fallen the same way. First fear, then surrender. "Begin scanning the surface," he ordered. His second, a younger officer named Vorel, tapped glowing controls. "Multiple civilizations, Commander," he said. "Primitive weapons. No unified defense system." Rathesen gave a cold smile. "Then it will be fast." But the readings changed. Strange signals began to appear. Heat signatures. Energy bursts. Patterns they had never seen. "Commander, I think they know we are here." Far below on Earth, humans watched the same stars. Satellites began to flash emergency signals. Governments connected across borders faster than ever before. Scientists, soldiers, even civilians were suddenly part of one global network. It was the first time in human history that every country spoke the same words. "We are not alone." Rathesen expected chaos. Instead, he saw something else. The humans did not run. They built. They planned. They shared. They fought together. Within days, the alien fleet entered Earth's orbit. Their weapons powered up. Energy waves rippled through the sky. Then something unexpected happened. A group of small human ships launched straight at them. Crude metal machines compared to the Zathari fleet, but they moved fast, unpredictable, like angry insects. "They are attacking us?" Vorel said, shocked. "They are untrained. They will die. Let them," Rathesen replied. The first human squadron vanished in seconds. But before the Zathari could celebrate, one of their destroyers exploded, torn apart by something the humans had launched. A nuclear warhead. It wasn't advanced, but it was deadly. The shockwave tore through space. "Impossible," Rathesen whispered. "They used weapons from their own planet. Against us." Humans had done what no alien race ever dared. They fought with desperation, not fear. They were willing to destroy themselves if it meant victory. On the ground, humanity united. Soldiers who once fought each other now stood side by side. The air was filled with sirens and prayers. In cities across Earth, people looked up and refused to bow. Every alien transmission captured the same message. "This is Earth. We will not surrender." The alien commanders were confused. Fear was new to them. They had always been the hunters, not the hunted. Yet now, as Earth's defense systems lit up, they felt something cold spread through their minds. Rathesen tried to regroup. "They are only animals," he said. "They fight without reason." But even he could see it. This was not madness. This was survival. The kind only Deathworlders could understand. Human aircraft rose through clouds like sparks from fire. Every explosion in the sky looked like a heartbeat. The blue planet below glowed brighter than ever. Hours turned into days. The Zathari fleet lost more ships than in any war before. They had faced stronger armies, smarter species, but never this. Never creatures who would rather burn their world than kneel. Vorel stared at the battle map. "Commander," he said quietly, "if this is how they fight for one world, what will they do if we ever reach their home?" Rathesen didn't answer. He looked out the viewport at the raging Earth. Lightning, storms, nuclear flashes. It was beautiful and terrifying. He realized something he had never thought before. Maybe this wasn't a weak species. Maybe this was a nightmare that had learned how to breathe. The battle raged on, and deep inside the alien commander's chest, a strange feeling grew, not victory but dread, because somewhere in that chaos, in every human scream, every flash of defiance, he saw the truth. They were not fighting animals. They were fighting survivors, and survivors never die easy. Smoke and fire filled the skies of Earth. Alien ships burned like falling stars. crashing into oceans and mountains. The Zathari fleet had never faced anything like this. They came expecting surrender. Instead, they found chaos and fury wrapped in human skin. Commander Rathson stood on the bridge of the Obsidian Claw, watching the blue planet tear itself apart in the name of survival. Every screen showed destruction, yet humans still fought, with no leader, no order, just will. "Status report," he demanded. 17 ships lost, Vorel said quietly. "Human forces are adapting. They learned during the battle." Rathson turned his head slowly. "Adapting?" "Yes, Commander. They study our movements. Every attack, every mistake. They don't stop." The commander's jaw tightened. No other species had ever adapted during combat. The Zathari conquered thousands of worlds, but those creatures always broke after the first strike. Humans did not break. They rebuilt faster than they fell. On Earth, the humans didn't have fancy weapons or energy shields, but they had something far worse: determination. Every city that fell became a new fortress. Every defeat became a lesson. In the ruins of New York, survivors dragged scrap metal into the streets, turning buses into armored trucks. In the mountains of China, engineers built railguns from old satellites. Across Europe, underground networks spread orders and hope. Humanity had always fought itself, but now for the first time it fought together. Rathson watched this through his scanners and whispered, "They should be extinct, not evolving." He ordered a ground invasion. "Crush them," he said. "No more orbit strikes. I want their leaders captured alive." Thousands of Zathari soldiers descended in dark metal dropships. They landed in burning cities and blackened forests. What they saw was beyond their imagination. The air was poison to them. The gravity was too heavy. The ground itself fought back. Storms, earthquakes, fire, and floods. Earth was trying to kill them as much as the humans were. One Zathari squad leader fell to his knees, his armor melting from acid rain. He gasped into his comm, "Commander." "This planet. It's alive." Rathson ignored the panic. "You are soldiers of the Empire. Do not fear." Then he stopped speaking. On the screens, human ambushes appeared like ghosts from smoke. Small groups with basic rifles destroyed armored patrols using clever traps and wild tactics. "Commander," Vorel said, voice shaking, "they don't fight to win battles. They fight to make us bleed, and bleed they did. For every human death, 10 Zathari fell. Their technology was superior, but their bodies were not made for such a brutal world. They had never known hunger, pain, or cold. They came from perfect cities on gentle planets. Earth showed them what survival truly meant." Days later, Rathson ordered a retreat to orbit. His troops returned broken and terrified. Many had lost their armor to acid, others their minds to fear. One whispered, "The humans, they smile while they fight." Rathson couldn't understand it. "Why smile in death?" he asked. Vorel looked at the commander and said softly, "Because for them, Commander, death is normal." That night, the alien fleet floated above a burning Earth. Below, continents glowed red from endless fires. Above, silence filled the command deck. Rathson opened a file, ancient data about the planet they once ignored. He read the classification tag, Class 7 hostile environment, not recommended for colonization, but as he scrolled deeper, he saw the forgotten reports, storms of metal shards, volcanoes that never sleep, beasts larger than tanks, diseases that mutate faster than medicine. Earth was death, yet humans had thrived there. He leaned back, his cold silver hands trembling. "We attacked a Deathworld," he whispered, "and its children are fighting back." The truth spread through the fleet like fire. Officers argued, soldiers whispered, and fear grew. No one dared speak it aloud, but they all knew. This war was not just difficult. It was impossible. Still, Rathson couldn't retreat. Pride was stronger than fear. "We are Zathari," he told his crew. "We don't run from savages." But even as he spoke, he saw Earth's defenses glowing again. From old satellites and hidden bunkers, the humans launched something new. A storm of electromagnetic pulses that fried alien systems mid-space. Half the fleet went dark. Ships drifted powerless into the planet's gravity well. Alarms screamed. Engineers shouted. Rathson stared at the flickering screens, watching Earth rise larger in the window. "Commander," Vorel said, voice breaking, "they've learned to shut us down." Rathson's reflection in the glass looked hollow. "No, they've learned to survive us. Outside, The last of the alien warships began to fall toward the Earth's atmosphere, leaving trails of fire. And on the ground under the burning sky, billions of humans looked up, tired, wounded, but unbroken. They didn't cheer. They didn't celebrate. They simply waited, because for them, this was not the end of the war. It was only the beginning of survival. The alien fleet drifted in silence above Earth's burning clouds. Wrecked ships floated like ghosts. Broken pieces of metal shimmered in orbit, reflecting the planet's blue light. Commander Rathacen stood in the observation bay, staring down at the world that had nearly destroyed his army. He could still hear the screams of his soldiers in his head. Thousands lost, hundreds more refusing to return to the surface. Even the strongest Zathari warriors had begged to be reassigned. Rathacen had seen fear before, but never like this. These were soldiers who had faced monsters, plasma storms, and black hole warfare. Yet now they shook in silence. "Commander," said Varel softly, entering the bay. "The remaining ships have regrouped. Repairs are slow. Morale is collapsing." Rathacen didn't answer at first. He kept watching Earth. Clouds twisted into hurricanes, lightning split the sky, and volcanoes spat fire in the distance. It looked like a dying world, but somehow it was alive. "How can they live down there?" he finally asked. Varel looked at the readings. Radiation, storms, disease, unstable air pressure. They should be extinct. Rathacen turned his head slightly. Yet they build cities in the middle of all this. The silence stretched long between them. Then the commander spoke again. "Begin deep surveillance. I want to know what they are, how they live, how they fight, and why they don't die." Vorel nodded and activated the surface probes. Small silver drones fell quietly through the atmosphere. Each one carried cameras and sensors designed to record everything. Hours later, the screens on the bridge came alive. The images shocked the entire command deck. They saw humans in frozen lands, wrapped in thin clothes, walking through snow that would kill any alien in seconds. They saw others deep in deserts where the ground burned, yet humans laughed under the sun. Some lived underwater, in machines made from metal and pressure so strong it could crush Zathari bones. Some climbed mountains higher than alien cities just for sport. Everywhere humans smiled, fought, or worked. No fear, no despair. "Commander," whispered one officer, "how do they adapt to every place?" Vorel checked the reports. "They don't adapt, sir. They evolve." Rathacen clenched his hands behind his back. "So fast?" "Yes, in one generation they change. Their bodies, their minds, their tools. They keep improving." He turned toward his crew. "What drives them?" No one answered. Until Varel said quietly, "Maybe it's their world. It never gives them peace. It forces them to fight to live." The commander's eyes glowed dimly. A species forged by pain. He watched more images. Humans tending farms after disasters, rebuilding cities after earthquakes, helping strangers after wars. Every act of kindness was surrounded by destruction. Something strange stirred in him. Pity, admiration, or fear. "Commander," said one scientist, "we found an archive in their communication networks. Billions of messages, history, art, war stories." "Show me," Rathacen ordered. The screen filled with videos, pictures, and words. He saw their history, endless wars, revolutions, diseases, floods, fires, and still, survival. They had destroyed themselves countless times and always returned stronger. "They've faced extinction, over and over," Vorel said. Rathacen whispered, "and they learned from it." He walked closer to the screen, his voice low and heavy. "They never stopped because their world never let them rest. This planet didn't give birth to peace. It gave birth to predators who learned compassion." Suddenly an alert beeped. One of the observation drones was destroyed. The feed went black. "Was it a storm?" Rathacen asked. "No, sir," the operator replied, eyes wide. "It was humans. They found it and shot it down." "They found a cloaked probe?" "Yes, Commander, and now they're sending a signal back to us." The bridge went silent. A message appeared on the main display. It wasn't in alien code. It was in human language. "We see you. You can watch, but you will learn nothing until you stand here with us." For the first time in his life, Rathacen felt something deep inside his chest, something the Zathari did not have a word for. Fear. He stared at the message for a long time, then turned to Varel. "Prepare landing teams. I want to see them myself." Vorel blinked. "Commander, that's suicide." Rathacen's eyes glowed colder. Maybe. But if these creatures can survive this world, maybe we can learn how. The Empire must understand what death truly means. As the ship prepared for descent, the crew exchanged silent glances. Some whispered prayers to gods they barely believed in. And below them, on the blue planet, millions of humans looked up at the glowing alien crafts, not with fear, but with readiness. Because for them, every visitor was just another challenge. And on Earth, challenges were the same as survival. The alien ship Obsidian Claw broke through the thick clouds of Earth's sky, glowing like a burning comet. Lightning cracked around its hull. Wind screamed against the metal. The whole ship shuddered as it entered the planet's violent atmosphere. Commander Rathkson gripped the railing, eyes fixed on the storm below. "Maintain control," he shouted. "Gravity increasing, Commander." "Pressure too high," yelled Vorel. The Zathari were not built for this. Their bodies came from a calm, warm world with soft air and perfect weather. But Earth was alive, wild, untamed, and angry. The storm hit like a living beast. The ship trembled, alarms flashing red. Finally, with a deafening crash, the landing thrusters fired. The alien craft touched down in a dark valley surrounded by dead trees and shattered rocks. The wind howled through the cracks of the alien armor plating. Rathkson stepped out first. His boots sank into mud that hissed like acid. The air was thick, heavy, and full of strange scents. Life, decay, metal, and ash. Even through his helmet's filters, he could feel it burning his lungs. "This world is poison," said one soldier, coughing. "Then breathe carefully," the commander replied. The team spread out, scanning the area. Sensors showed ruins ahead. Broken buildings, rusted cars, silent streets. A once living city now reclaimed by time. "This was one of their settlements," said Vorel. "Destroyed long ago, maybe by war." Rathkson looked around. And yet, there's life everywhere. Small green plants pushed through cracks in the road. Birds circled above. Insects crawled over alien boots without fear. "This world refuses to die," he whispered. Suddenly, a sound echoed. Faint footsteps, soft but steady. The soldiers aimed their weapons. A shape appeared from the shadows of the ruins. It was a human, a woman wrapped in torn clothing carrying a child. Her eyes glowed with reflection from the alien lights, but there was no fear in them. She looked straight at the commander and said in a calm, steady voice, "You shouldn't be here." Rathkson froze. He had studied their language but never heard it spoken so clearly. "We mean no harm," he lied. The woman's lips curved into a faint smile. "That's what they all say before they start a war." Behind her, more figures appeared. Men, women, even children, all holding simple weapons. Old rifles, metal rods, sharpened tools. They looked fragile, but their eyes were sharp, unshaken. The Zathari soldiers raised their blasters. Rathkson raised his hand. "Hold your fire," he stepped closer. The air stung his skin. "How did you survive here?" he asked. The woman tilted her head. "The same way we always do. We fight the world until it stops fighting back." Her voice was soft but strong like steel under silk. Rathkson studied her face. The scars, the dirt, the calm expression. He had seen fear in countless species, but this was not fear. This was control. "You live among poison, storms, fire, and yet you smile," he said. "Why?" "Because if we don't smile, we break," she answered. "And breaking means death." Her child tugged at her sleeve and whispered, "Mom, are they the monsters?" She looked at the commander again. "No," she said. "They're just lost." The words hit harder than any weapon. Rathkson lowered his gun. For the first time, he didn't see an enemy. He saw something ancient, something powerful in its simplicity. "Commander," Vorel called from behind. "Readings show radiation levels too high. We must return to the ship," but Rathkson didn't move. "Do you see what they've done, Vorel? They breathe this poison. They live in storms. And still they protect each other." He looked back at the woman. "Your world, it kills everything that touches it. Except us," she said softly. At that moment, another storm rolled over the valley. Thunder roared, wind howled, and lightning struck nearby, blinding bright. The aliens stumbled, shielding their faces. The humans didn't move. When the storm passed, Rathkson saw them standing exactly where they were, unharmed. He whispered, "How can they endure this?" The woman looked at him with cold, clear eyes. "Because this is home. You can't fight a world that raised us." Her words stayed in his mind as his team retreated back to the ship. The door sealed shut behind them, the metal hissing in the rain. Inside, silence filled the air. Every soldier looked shaken. Their armor was scratched, sensors damaged, even though the humans hadn't fired a single shot. Vorel spoke first. "Commander, these people are not soldiers. They're survivors." Rathson stared out the window at the valley below. The humans had already vanished into the mist. He whispered to himself, "We came to conquer them. But maybe this world conquered us." The obsidian claw lifted back into the storm, rising slowly through the thunder. The clouds swallowed it whole. And down below, the humans watched the skies, knowing the fight wasn't over, but feeling no fear, because they had lived with fear all their lives. And to them, this was just another day on Earth. The storm outside the alien ship raged for hours, but inside the obsidian claw the silence was worse. The soldiers had returned from the surface pale and trembling. Some refused to remove their helmets. Others sat in corners whispering about the humans they had seen, eyes filled with calm. Standing tall in the poison wind, Commander Rathson stood in the war room, staring at the holographic map of Earth. Every continent was marked in red, not for conquest, but danger. "How many of our troops can still fight?" he asked. Vorel checked the data, his voice low. "Less than half, Commander. The rest refuse to go back down." "Refuse?" Rathson turned sharply. "Are they cowards now?" "No, sir. They're afraid of the planet itself. It kills them without firing a shot." The commander's silver hands clenched behind his back. He could feel the eyes of his officers on him, nervous, uncertain, doubting. That was new. Zathari officers never doubted their leaders. Not until Earth. Rathson slammed his fist onto the table. "We are Zathari. We have ruled galaxies. We don't run from dirt and storms." The echo of his voice filled the room, but no one answered. Finally, Vorel spoke softly. "Commander, maybe it's not the humans that frighten us. Maybe it's what they prove." Rathson looked at him. "And what is that?" "That our strength means nothing here," Vorel said. "Their weakness is their strength. They suffer more and somehow they survive it." The words cut deep. Rathson hated how true they sounded. He turned back to the glowing Earth map. "Then we'll test it," he said coldly. "If they thrive in pain, we'll give them pain beyond their world's limits." "Commander, you can't prepare the orbital cannons," Rathson interrupted. "We'll reshape their planet. Fire at their largest population centers." Vorel's voice broke. "That's suicide. You saw what happened when we attacked before. This planet fights back. Do as I command." The crew obeyed, but fear hung heavy in the air. Lights dimmed as the giant weapons came online. Energy swelled through the ship's massive coils, aimed straight at the blue world below. But just before firing, alarms blared. Systems flickered. "The power dropped to 0. What's happening?" shouted an officer. Vorel looked at the readings. "The humans. They're interfering again. They've sent another electromagnetic pulse, stronger this time. It's targeting our orbit lines." The bridge shook. Sparks exploded from the ceiling. Rathson gritted his teeth. "Shut it down. Restore power." "It's not working." "They've infected our systems." "How?" Rathson roared. "They don't even have interstellar tech." Vorel stared at the console in disbelief. "They're not using tech, Commander. They're using their planet. Its storms. Its magnetosphere. They're redirecting natural energy against us." The realization hit like a physical blow. Earth itself was helping its children fight. Then through the chaos a new signal appeared. Audio only. Human language, calm and steady. "Leave our skies. You've seen enough. Your weapons mean nothing here." Every alien on the bridge froze. The signal came from the same region where Rathson had landed. The woman's voice, Rathson's hand shook. He wanted to reply, to speak, but words wouldn't come. The power continued to fail. One by one, alien ships began losing control, dragged slowly toward the planet's gravity well. "Commander," shouted an engineer, "if we don't retreat now, we'll burn an atmosphere." Rathson's voice was low but steady. "Order the fleet to pull back to high orbit." As the ships climbed higher, the fires below faded into cloud and shadow. For the first time, the Zathari Empire retreated. Not from another empire, but from a single world. Inside the commander's quarters, the air was cold and silent. Rathson removed his helmet and stared at his reflection in the metal wall. His eyes looked different, not sharp, not proud. Just tired, he whispered. We came to prove we were gods, but we found demons made of flesh and will. A soft chime interrupted his thoughts. Vorel entered. Commander, there's unrest in the fleet. Some believe we should destroy this system completely. Others say we must never return. Rathson closed his eyes. And what do you believe? Vorel hesitated. I believe this world is not a threat we can defeat. It's a lesson we must learn. Rathson opened his eyes slowly. A lesson? Yes, Vorel said quietly. To survive the universe, maybe we must become more like them. Rathson turned back toward the window, watching Earth spin slowly beneath them. Lightning lit the clouds. For a brief second it almost looked alive, like a creature breathing. Prepare a council meeting, he said finally. The Empire must decide what happens next. As Vorel left, Rathson kept watching that small blue world, the one that had turned his army of conquerors into fearful observers. He could still hear the woman's voice in his mind. You shouldn't be here, and deep inside he knew she was right. The Zathari fleet hung silent in orbit, broken and dim. Half the ships no longer responded. The others floated like wounded beasts, lights flickering in the black sky above Earth. The proud empire, once feared across the stars, was now trapped in fear of one small blue world. Inside the flagship Obsidian Claw, Commander Rathson stood before the council holograms, 10 alien faces glowing in the darkness. Their voices were cold and full of anger. You have failed, Commander, one said. Our fleets are in ruins, said another. You let primitives humiliate the Empire. Rathson did not argue. He simply listened, eyes fixed on the planet spinning below. Finally, the High Counselor spoke. We will destroy the Deathworld completely. You will begin the cleansing sequence. Rathson's voice was quiet. No. The council chamber fell silent. Repeat that, the High Counselor hissed. I said no, Rathson replied. His tone was steady, but his eyes burned with something new. Understanding. You defy us? I obey reason, he said. If we attack this world again, it will not end them. It will end us! Blasphemy! Another shouted. They are savages. Rathson turned toward them. Then why do they survive what kills us? Why do they build beauty and fire and kindness and pain? The council members murmured in confusion. He stepped forward. This world is not a curse. It's a forge. It shapes its children with storms and death until only the strongest remain. You call them savages, but they are survivors of the impossible. They are what we dream to be. The High Counselor's voice dripped with rage. You sound infected by them. Rathson stared at the blue light of Earth. Maybe I am. Static filled the air. The council cut the transmission. Alone again, Rathson stood at the window. Lightning flashed across the planet's horizon like veins of living energy. Vorel entered quietly behind him. What did they decide? They want destruction, Rathson said softly. But I will not give it to them. Vorel hesitated. Then what will you do? The commander looked at the surface, where billions of humans carried on their lives, unaware that gods of metal watched them from above. We leave. We will seal this system. No Zathari ship will ever return. Vorel's voice trembled. And if the council sends another fleet? Rathson smiled faintly. Then may the gods protect them from what waits below. He gave the order. Engines flared to life. The Zathari ships turned slowly, one by one, away from the Earth. For the first time in their history, they retreated in peace, not defeat. As the stars stretched and the planet faded behind them, Vorel asked, Commander, do you think the humans will ever come for us? Rathson watched the fading blue world and said, One day, yes, and when they do, I hope we are ready. He turned off the view screen. The stars filled the room with soft light. Because whatever lives on that world, it does not conquer, it endures. And anything that endures long enough eventually rules. Far below on the surface of Earth, the woman who had spoken to him stood on a hill watching the night sky. The storm had passed. The stars shimmered, clear and sharp. Her child tugged at her hand. Mom, are they gone? She nodded. For now. The child looked up. Will they come back? Maybe, she said softly. But if they do, they'll remember who we are. The child smiled. Humans? The woman looked toward the horizon where thunder rolled far away. No, she whispered. Survivors. High above the clouds, the last shimmer of alien light disappeared into the void, and for the first time since the war began, Earth was quiet. Not peaceful, never peaceful, but alive. Because on this death world, peace was not survival. Survival was peace.